Hey friends, and welcome to MomTalk Maryland. I'm your host, Claire Duarte, founder of the Columbia Mom, and this is your spot for real conversations, local love, and a whole lot of community. Whether you're folding laundry, running errands, or hiding in your car for some peace and quiet, let's dive in. All right, is this thing on? Let's do it. I just recently completed the Charm City Soul of the City 10K sponsored by Ultra. It was this past Saturday, and if you've been following along with my journey, this was my first race in basically 10 years. My first 10K in 10 years. And actually, what's really funny is I've only ever done one actual 10K race before, which ironically was the Soul of the City 10K back in Baltimore nearly 10 years to the day, which just, I love the irony and the play on words, if you may. And to kind of go back a little bit, I kind of got into running in my 20s. I was never a runner, FYI. I played soccer my whole life. Since I was a little kid, my dad lived in England for 20 plus years of his life. He's a big Spurs fan and taught us all everything we needed to know about soccer from the time that we could stand. So we were a big soccer family in the 90s and 2000s, and I played soccer all through high school. And anyways, yeah, in college, I just got into it just a little bit socially. You would see people doing it. I was never like a fast, runner or, could do like maybe some sprints and stuff like that. And I think I got involved in doing some of like the turkey trots, 5Ks, because, you would see a lot of those like, sponsored for charities and different things like that. But yeah, in my 20s, when I lived in Baltimore, is when I had a friend that was like a big runner, and I don't know what got over me. I think she talked about like, she might have like teased us in because she would go to these like beer runs. And I think I was interested in like getting in shape, and she would like, try to like coax me into it. And I was like, finally, I was like, you know what? Like maybe I'll go for a run with you. And did like a 3 miler, like a 5K. And then she was like, she kept urging me. And I think that's when I remember I signed up for the 10K. I was like, okay, let me see if I can do a 10K. Right. And then when I did a 10K, she was like, if you can do a 10K, you could do a half marathon. And that was like my gateway into it, which is really funny. And it's funny because now that I'm talking back through it, I'm like, okay, I think I do, like, the pieces are coming back to me. Because again, this is 10 years ago. I got an old mom brain now. So yeah, I don't remember the whole total number of years that I kind of was like running or into running then. But I do know that I completed roughly 5 half marathons, I believe. Yeah, they were all, well, sorry, not all of them were City. They were mainly Baltimore, one in DC, and a few in like Annapolis, Anne Arundel area. So kind of just that whole like, general area. But obviously when we lived in the city, I did primarily Baltimore races, primarily Baltimore training. But ironically too, when we lived in the city, I would drive out to Columbia to train. I actually trained more in Columbia than I did when I lived in the city. I did like to go for a run in the city, but I found that it was very flat. And after one of my first races, I realized how like hilly some of these courses can be. And I was like, I need to train on a little bit more hills if I'm going to keep doing this. And not that Columbia is like incredibly hilly, but like going around like Centennial, like Elkhorn were 2 of my favorite loops. Is that you could kind of get some decent like rolling hills in there. And you can also cover a lot of ground. So yeah, that's what I remember doing. Like the majority of my training was those 2 lakes were the big ones for me. Because they were like bigger loops, and love the views, you know what I mean? So yeah, fast forward to now. Like I said, I stopped running in 2017 only because I remember like we got married in 2016, 2017. I still ran for fun here and there, like pick it up. I stopped kind of signing up for like maybe formal races as much. And then 2018, we got pregnant with my daughter early in the year. So that's how I know, like I stopped running in 2017. And like I said, haven't really ran obviously since. I mean, Columbia is a fabulous place to run. Like I said, there's so many lakes here. It's just like, there's so many great trails. It's just a great place. I think it's just so easy to like pick up and go. But I mean, the biggest obstacle is, now that having kids, I can't just like throw on my shoes and walk out the door. Like I got people in my house that I'm responsible for. So finding the time to train is just way different. And, so training for this 10K was definitely challenging because coming out of this winter was so brutal, right? Like January and February was just almost impossible. I think in February I got like one-ish interval, maybe two. Like it was just hard to even get outside basically. And, I would always kind of do like my longer runs Saturday mornings. It was finally easier once to do that in March, but I was like, oh my God, March just feels like it's crunch time. I was finally able to get 4 miles in when I was at the beach. And so I was thankful for that, but it was like super flat. So I was like, I don't know how much good this is going to do me, but at least I had the cardio endurance under my belt. So I at least mentally felt good about that. But yeah, I gotta say partnering with Charm City Run was really awesome because getting to, be in their store, really get the right shoes. I do think having the right shoes just makes all the difference. I mean, anybody in running will kind of tell you that. And back in my running days, there wasn't many like different as many shoes on the scene. I mean, yeah, there was a lot of shoes, of course, but like we didn't have Hokas, we didn't have On Clouds, we didn't have um honestly, I'm not remembering. I think there was Asics, Brooks, and maybe Ultras. I'm trying to remember. Obviously Nike, but I feel like Nike's to me not a great running shoe for me. And that's when like I remember when I started running, I was like, okay, I need to get out of my Nikes and into like some good ones. And Asics were kind of like one of the top liners then. And so the Asics were like my running shoe of choice, really. So when I linked back up with Charm City this past fall, and I got fitted and I was really excited because I was like, oh my God, there's so many cute Hokas and On Clouds. Like, I wonder, like, almost like Hogwarts. I was like, wonder which house I'm going to fall into. Like, are my feet just going to love Hokas and have the really cute color or whatever? And it's funny after like being like Cinderella and trying all the different pairs, yet again, I loved the Asics. And I was just like, throw what you know. Like, I was just like, my feet know what they want. And I mean, I think it was a close second with, it might have been a pair of Hokas. I'm not remembering now, but I still walked out. I just was laughing. I was like, of course, I'm walking out with a pair of Asics. And it wasn't based solely on looks either. Like, I'm really talking about how it genuinely felt. And so I was wearing the Asics a little bit more in the fall. And then when I signed up for this race, I got a pair of the Ultras because we knew this was going to be an Ultra sponsored race. And let me tell you, I've never worn Ultras before. And, when they told me I was going to get fitted for Ultras, I was like, okay, yeah, sure. Like whatever. And then if you've never seen an Ultra, I'm actually not wearing them at the moment. I wear them a lot. I mainly because I want to wash them after like this race this weekend. They are almost like the letter P. Like it's like flat on one side. It sort of kind of like curves out on the other. And the idea is that it's giving you a wider toe box, right? They're really big on that. And so when I put them on, I looked down at my feet and I was like, ugh, like, I was like, these look massive. Like my like eyes couldn't get over like the visual look of them. And I think again, me looking down at my own feet is very different than somebody else looking at my feet. But as soon as I put them on, I like looked down and I was like, ugh, but then I was like my feet and I was like, okay. I mean, I was like, I don't hate this. This feels pretty darn good. Fast forward 3 months. Guys, I'm not kidding you when I say I probably wore those shoes the absolute most out of any shoe in my house for the last 3 months. I am obsessed. And what's funny? Yes, I do have wide feet. I will say that. I don't know that my toes are any more spread out. It wasn't that I felt like, oh my God, my toes have so much more room for activities. I think the support was just tremendous. I just really loved it. I was like, to me, that was my walking on air feeling. Like I loved it. I felt so supported. I have not had any blisters this season whatsoever. Granted, it wasn't a heavy training season. It wasn't like as long. And again, it's hard to get as many mileage in early on. You know what I mean? But shoes were great. My gear was all from there too. I had again, same thing. I kept saying Cinderella. It was Goldilocks. Goldilocks is the one that tried on the different stuff, right? I tried on a couple different leggings and walked out with Nike leggings. I mean, those things were like sucked you right in. They got the compression in all the right spots, like perfect running tights. I like them more than Lululemons. I was like, who am I? I guess the world's biggest millennial is really the answer. But I did Nike running tights. I had an Viore long sleeve shirt. And oh gosh, I'm forgetting the name of the jacket, but it was a great kind of running jacket. It wasn't fully wool, but it was like knit, so it was still nice to have like a layer, and had a zip up so if I, got too hot or cold or whatever. And great smart wool gloves as well as smart wool socks. So from head to toe, I felt like I was covered. I'm not one of those people, like I do have a hard time running with like a hat, a knit, a cap, or an earband because I just feel like they fly off. And I have a big head, so like anything around my head just feels like it gets tight. Um, so I didn't go with any of that. But I mean, yeah. So training overall, like my first two runs were definitely the hardest. And I remember my first run was gorgeous outside. It was beautiful weather. It was like early March. My first longer run, I should say. I did like a little bit of interval stuff. But my first longer run, I was like, okay, let me see if I can do like 2 to 3. And like 5 minutes in, I was like, and my legs, everything hurt. Everything hurt. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And I was like, how, and I felt so nervous. I was like, how am I going to be ready for this race? I was like so nervous because I only had a few weeks left at that point. Then my second run, I went down to Lake Kinmacundy with my friend Katie, and it was basically like almost like the weather today, like really drizzly. And I was like, oh God, this is miserable. I had like, again, jacket, gloves, whatever. And we did like 2.5 ish, and we would walk the only like wooden part of the pier. Like the walkway is kind of like along the lake. And then once we would hit the trail again, we would, run it again, essentially. Yeah, or like run the pavement, really. So yeah, that was like 2.5. Um, and it felt really good that we could like, I could complete that, and we talked the whole time. I was like, okay. I was like, well, if I can talk this whole time, like that's good. And we're not fast. You know what I mean? Katie's been running so much more consistently than I have for years. But we can keep like a good 10 to 12-ish, probably more of that 12-ish mile pace. You know what I mean? I mean, back in my fastest, again, back in my 20s, ironically, yeah, I mean, there's no way I can find the results, but when I did the 10K race, was my fastest race ever based on splits. Um, because I had the majority of those splits were sub 10. Like, I think I don't think many eights, but a few eights and nines. And I completed the 10K in under 60 minutes. It was like, literally like 57, 58 minutes, like or maybe even 59. It was like right at the top end. And I remember being gassed at the end because I was definitely going pretty fast. But yeah, that was my fastest race ever. Based on speed for sure. And I never had that kind of speed for a half, because half I definitely was more like a 10-minute, 10 to 12er. I was really good at averaging pretty 10 consistently, and then towards the end it would hit into like 11 and 12 kind of thing. This was probably, I haven't even gone back to check my splits because I didn't care about time for this race. I was like, I just want to complete this. I want to feel good. I want to get out there. I was definitely nervous about the challenge because I was like, it's just so much different to be a mom and to be training and to fitting in running in this season of life when you've got kids. And not to mention, like, my husband works Saturday, so if like that's my day to do my long run, like it's a lot more coordinating for me to figure, okay, I need childcare and like I need to run, like, or even the weekend that we went away for the beach. So I was like, it's my birthday weekend, but like, I gotta run, like obviously yes, it's by choice, but like still, but I'm so proud that I was like able to like make myself do it, right? So let's talk about, or day of. So going into the week of, right, I did a 4-mile run on the Sunday, which I had, my goal, I had originally wanted to do like 5. They say that you shouldn't and don't need to do the full amount of your race. Or if you do, like, definitely don't do it like within the week of your race, because you don't want to over exert yourself and give your body plenty of rest that it needs. Again, I'm not like a running professional. So please just also take everything that I have to say as just from my own experience, right? Um, and because they say that like if you can run the majority, probably like what, like 75% of the length of your race, like you can do it. That's what like my friends and trainers that I worked with like years ago kind of said. So, um, yeah, so my original goal the week before was 5. I did 4, felt pretty good about it. And actually, I wasn't that sore after, which I was really kind of shocked about. I mean, I stretched and hydrated and things like that, but we also drove home from the beach that day, which is like 2.5 hours in the car. So I was like, oh, this might F me up. But I was intentional about trying to stretch last week. Took it easy at the gym, only went twice. I did some treadmill intervals on Tuesday last week. My goal and hope was at max maybe hit the pavement and do, 1 to 2-ish mile run during the week. And I was like, in my brain, I'm like, that's ideal. But I'm like, how am I going to fit that in between work and the kids and stuff like that? So on Tuesday, I did some early morning treadmill intervals, a little mix of like speed, walking, hills, just to keep it going. Wednesday, I did strength training. And then Thursday, I did another light strength training. And I still kept up my steps on my walking pad all week. My goal is like 9,000 steps a day, not 10, nothing hardcore and crazy. And then fully rested and slept in Thursday and Friday. I say fully, like okay, to when my kids get up, which is by 7 a.m. So, and then I actually have my kids sleep over at my in-laws Friday night because again, my husband works Saturdays, and so that way I can get down to the city nice and early. And then we actually went out to dinner. Ironically, actually, we went out to dinner Thursday and Friday. I kind of hadn't planned it that way, but went and checked out Takumi, that new sushi restaurant on Thursday, and it unintentionally carb loaded then, which was actually really good because say, oh, you got a carb load, but I think as I've gotten older, I've heard them say it's actually better to carb load 2 days ahead of your race because your body actually can then absorb it a lot better. And that way you're not feeling too full and heavy like from the night before, especially since most races are early the next morning, right? But then, my husband had made a reservation for Maggiano's Friday night. And actually I wasn't as full. Sorry. I was more full Friday than I was Thursday when we were going out to dinner, because I think I had eaten all the rice and the sushi the night before, so I actually felt kind of balanced, which was good. But yeah, so I went to bed early. I got up by like 6 and headed out the door by like 6:30, 6:45. I think I had, what did I eat? I'm on this like cereal kick right now. Right now, I'm always on a cereal kick, and don't judge me. This my cereal of choice right now is like it's kashi, and it looks like the shredded wheat, and it's like cinnamon harvest or something. I literally I have nothing good to tell you other than the fact it's just got a little hint of sweetness. And this is the grandma inside me. It's probably got like, I'm not eating it because it's fibrous. I'm just eating it because I like the little hint of sweetness in the morning. Nothing that's too sugary, but I get that like carb hit. And I just every morning when I wake up, I just need a couple little handfuls of those. So, yeah, I had some of that, some water. I think I had bought a bar from the store from Charm when I did pack a pickup on Wednesday. I don't remember the name of the brand, but it said like energy bar. I don't think it meant like caffeine energy, but just it was like peanut and chocolate, and it was really good. And I actually ate that in the car on the way there. I used to always fast before working out, before running, everything. I don't think I ever had a bite of anything. And as I've gotten older, like ever since, having kids, I've always needed like a little bit of something. I don't have a meal, definitely, but so I was like nervous because I was like, oh, I haven't like ever like ran with anything in my stomach before. No, I think before half marathons, I would have like banana and a little bit of something like that. But other just general trainings, I just wouldn't do too much because I was just nervous about like I didn't want to feel crampy. But yeah, I had that bar, and because I knew I was getting down there by like 7:15, and the race didn't start until 8:30, I knew that I had plenty of time to probably digest and whatever. But yeah, that was delicious. So I was very happy about that. And yeah, the race started at Harbor Point, which again years ago Soul of the City 10K used to start in Fed Hill. Um, and it was definitely really breezy and cold. And I was like, "Ugh." But I will say I was really glad that it didn't rain because it's been so, like, the weather's just been so crummy here for the last like few days. And this week's like all cold, but I will say that it was not raining. So I won't cry about that. But it made like I was like, how do I get dressed? Like, what do I wear? And I was worried about needing like a rain jacket and gloves. Luckily, I didn't end up needing any of that, but it was chilly. I think I ended up wearing, no, I wore the Race Premium, which had like a little light hood, but I didn't wear the hood. Um, and I wore like, some, I was gonna say capri leggings. They're like the 7/8. You know what I mean? 'Cause I thought it was gonna end up being humid and warm the way the end of last week was, but it didn't end up being all that humid. It was maybe more humid later on in the day, but not in that morning, or at least where Harbor Point is. Um, it's just, I think in between all those buildings, it just kind of gets windy or whatever. So, um, but no, I mean that's the nice thing about what I love about Charm City runs, races, like, and races in Baltimore in general. There's so much energy. It's just like you feed off of it. There's like hundreds of people there, right? And so like that was cool. And again, having my friend Katie like made all the difference because again, we literally just talked the whole time, right? So we were in like Corral C-ish again, like I mean, our goal was not to be like strict and heavy on pace with the pacers or anything like that, but we started with like the 12-mile pace group. Um, and that's where we kind of stayed the most part. I mean, I thought the course was pretty good. The one like hill that everyone quote unquote dreads is the one that you kind of take the climb up to Patterson Park, which I've done that a couple times from either training, from the Baltimore Running Festival, again from the previous Soul of the City, and it's not, I don't know, in my mind I feel like it's not that bad, especially since I feel like I've done it a couple times. I feel like there's other worse like hills. I don't know. I think maybe it also depends on where it's placed in your run. This was around mile 3 going into mile 4. I mean, and Katie, I could tell she was slowing down a little bit and I was speeding up. And I think because I was in a point where I'm like, okay, I just want to get through it and get it done with. I was only like a few paces ahead of her. And when we got to the top, like, I was like, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad that's done. But it was kind of nice because like once you get to the top, then you're just like running through the park. So that was kind of like a nice, like, check. And then you turn around and then we started kind of making our way back into the city. And yeah, so so after that, it was kind of like nice because we felt like we were sort of like downhill. The majority of the run was sort of done. And, there's a couple little like water spots. I think I had a little bit of sips of water. I didn't really do the Gatorade. But what's again so nice about running a Baltimore race is that like the community just shows up. The community shows up for you. And that's what's so cool and awesome about the charm of Baltimore. You know what I mean? Like neighborhoods and spectators and you can tell these are literally just like community members that live there that are just showing up to cheer you on, not even because they have friends that are or family members that are maybe like running the race, right? Like that's what I love about Baltimore and races like that. And there are parts of DC that the races are like that too. But that's why I knew that doing a course like that can be so fun and so enjoyable. And then the final push of the race is when you're coming back through Harbor East and you round the corner by Whole Foods and it's another like uphill as you go to the finish line, which that was pretty brutal because like, not because I was gassed, but because I was like, okay, let's sprint to the end. And now I'm looking back, I'm like, I wish I had sprinted after the Whole Foods light. I think as we started like, really kicking it up before Whole Foods. So I think that's what gassed me because I was also like, let me hold my phone and record and try to run. So like holding my arm out while also like trying to run, like that sucks. And I remember like feeling like, oh, so we crossed the line and I'm like heaving and I could feel like myself like go, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, Claire, please don't throw up. Please don't throw up. And I did that like 3 or 4 times and I was like so embarrassed. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I cannot throw up. I cannot throw up. I just kept walking and breathing and I was like, please don't. I was like, obviously, okay, if I need to throw up, like it's fine. This happens to runners all the time. Like, but it was like, it just feel like so annoying. Right. Especially since they like called our names as soon as we like ran across. And I'm pretty sure my friend Katie said they heard them say the Columbia mom, and I was like, oh, I need to not throw up, please. Um, but we finished at an hour and 12 minutes, which honestly, I had no goal of time, but I think that's pretty great. Considering that the weather wasn't like the best, again, not rainy, just a little like cloudy and gray. And just for my first race in almost 10 years, like feels pretty good. And, the after party was super fun. Loves checking out all the different reps, trying on some UFU sandals. Charm City had like, oh my God, the cutest gear. Everything from like cute, like Maryland crab shirts, run shirts, sweatshirts, long sleeves, socks, sunglasses, like, oh my God, and so that was really great. We both got a beer right afterwards, definitely hoarded up on some snacks, lots of walking around. No, it felt great. The band was good. Yeah, the longer you stood there, you definitely got like chilly because again, I think that the air, just because of like the way the buildings are built, I just feel like it's just windy and kind of cold. Um, but yeah, it was super fun. Am I ready to do another race? I don't know. I mean, I feel like I'm one of those people, like, I'm not exactly your all or nothing kind of gal. I feel like the door is definitely open. Do I feel the need to train for another race this season? No, I'm okay. If I feel the desire to head out on a Saturday for a run if the kids are being watched, yeah, who knows? You know what I mean? I kind of just like, I'm trying to stay open minded to it. I will say this, the door is definitely open. It's not like, okay, I ran my race, I'm good, I'm done. But I'm also feel like, I also don't think or feel like that I am completely done. Like I am kind of intrigued. Do I want to run another half marathon? No, I'm good. Um, it would take a lot more convincing, I think. But I do love the social aspect of running. I do love the fun and freeness of it. There is this kind of idea of like mentally helping you get over different hurdles in your life. And, it does kind of force you to like go to these different parts of your brain to kind of coax your way through these different challenges and kind of helps you develop that grit. You know what I mean? Like when things get hard, having to push through. I'm not talking about pushing through when you shouldn't be pushing through. Like when you shouldn't push through pain if you can't help it. You know what I mean? Like get the help you need. And that's, I feel like the biggest like life lessons that we can learn in many ways. But I think there's so many beautiful things that you can learn about running, through running, by running. So yeah, I gotta say this whole experience was really nice. I will admit I do feel proud. I am happy for myself and think that it's really cool that I'm like, oh my God, like I can do it. Like I could do it then, but I can also do it now. And I think that's really neat. Yes, I do have a dog, and that's the unfortunate reality when he just probably ran right through my mic. So you probably caught all of that. But yeah, so I don't know what's in store for me in the future about what other races I have ahead of me, but all I do know is that I got my great running shoes. I got Charm City on my side, and Lord knows we have some beautiful running lakes and trails here in Columbia. So I'm excited to see where the path and the route might take me. So, if you ever have any questions about, this race that I did, the Charm City Run, the Soul of the City 10K, feel free to hit me up, send me a DM, like or share with another mom that, is into running or thinking about it. Maybe use this as an encouragement for her. But yeah, stay tuned for the next episode. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Mom Talk Maryland. If you loved it, leave a review, share it with a friend, or tag me at the.columbiamom on Instagram. I'd love to hear what you think. And don't forget to follow the show so you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep showing up, keep supporting local, and keep being the incredible mom, woman, human that you are.